How you doing?
Hi, how are
Hello.
you? I see it's a traffic stop.
Good. Yeah, apparently I'm being stopped for not having a red light on the back of my bicycle.
Okay. Give me 1 second. What you're located in? Okay, let me look up the which call has the officer got your information?
No, that's what he's attempting to do. It was my understanding that that was something that was optional, as in addition to a required
Mm-hmm.
front white light. He's telling me that's not the case. So
Um, Let me just double check. I am seeing a front and rear reflector on here, but it does look
okay,
like the statue reads or. But I just want to just verify. Is the officer there with you?
it is.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Yeah, that was my understanding as well. That's why I just
Um, yeah, it's just reading that it should be equipped with a lamp on the front which shall emit the white light. Um, and then
sweet,
either, yeah,
good to go.
okay. And
Okay. So what statute
and
are you
so
reading,
I'm
ma'am?
looking at the statue from 2019, and I'm not sure if it's been.
Yeah, so they may not, they may some do
Mhm.
change, some don't. So I'm just asking what statute
Oh,
number are you
okay.
looking
Yeah.
at? Like there should be a specific chapter, it should be chapter
Yeah,
8
chapter
section
8, section 1592. Mm-hmm.
1592. Okay. And that was you're looking at
Yep.
2019.
And that's why I was like, I don't see that it's been like
Okay.
amended or codified.
Yeah, so a lot of it just depends on what are you are you looking at a specific site like Kansas cop law
No,
or
I'm
did you
looking
just
at the exact statute on the legislation sessions.
okay, sometimes they don't update it. So let me double check it. I could be wrong.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
I
I didn't want to.
yeah, and I got you, brother.
Right on.
I completely understand. I'm not
Okay,
out here to hassle anybody or anything. My biggest thing is safety. Is that
understand.
somebody not seeing you? Because like when you went down Fifth, that's one of those streets where it's a little bit darker. What I don't want is somebody to not be paying attention and run in the back of you.
Understood. I'm
Yeah.
not trying to be
No,
standoffish
dude,
either.
I got you, man.
Okay.
Everybody's got rights. I'm not out here to try to violate you in any type of way, dude. So let me go double check it real quick.
Okay.
Maybe I missed an or a slap. I honestly hate the way the politicians write some of this stuff.
Right.
Most of the traffic stuff's usually pretty solid and pretty easy to follow, but some of those out there it's like reading a totally different language.
Okay. Well, I just got followed up with what I would consider a ID.
Okay.
So I'm a little resistant to just be I
Was
guess
that here?
I'm not trying to rack up
No.
penalties. I guess is
Dude,
what
I
I'm
got
trying
you.
to. So
So 99% try to stick with a warning, especially if it's the first time I have contact with somebody, because a lot of this stuff people don't know. I just stopped a bunch of kids for basically the same thing. They didn't have any lights.
right. I thought I
And,
saw that.
yeah, and I the thing that I don't want is one of those kids get injured because they're riding their bikes all over the street like they without any idea that there are traffic laws or
Right.
anything like that. Because they were literally on both sides of the street. One kid's on skates with no light, two kids on bicycles with no lights.
Oh yeah.
I don't want them to get hit. So let me double, like I said, let me double check that. I could be wrong.
Okay.
Or
Okay.
I've read it wrong, or sometimes I've just looked at something.
Okay. Well, I didn't need to come off on the wrong page or
Yeah,
anything like that.
I
So.
gotcha.
Okay.
And that's the thing is we don't necessarily know, and so we sit there and talk to somebody whether it's like I said, I've had people that go that route, and it's just because they dislike cops for some reason, and some people, like I said, let me double check that real quick. Just hang out.
Okay. You got it.
Okay, yeah, and I was like, I just reread it again, and I was like, it does read or in the statute. Um,
That was my understanding, and so I was a little reluctant to hand over an ID. I just got I had an encounter earlier. This was before I had the app, and the cop was trying to get my ID, and I didn't allow that, and so he was kind of camped out right
Mm,
around my house, knowing I think what what he figured it's a small town. He figured out who I was, and so he was kind of
yeah.
waiting for me, and so I'm not trying to rack up any more fines,
Oh
I
yeah,
suppose.
definitely. And the officer seems reasonable. Um, as far, and then like you said, the statutes are written poorly. That's why I was like, I wanted to read it 2 times, just to make
Yeah.
sure. But they leave too much room for interpretation in the statute for no reason.
Yeah, and a red light's something that's been on my agenda to get, but to my understanding, it was just to my understanding it wasn't required yet, so it wasn't my top priority, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So we'll see what he says, and then again, if he just kind of overrules us both, and hopefully it's just a warning. Um, but if it is a citation, I would definitely urge you to go to court and argue it. But hopefully it doesn't come to that. Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Excellent.
Turn off this back check so we can actually read this real quick. Just hang out.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'll stand off of this. I ain't gonna go nowhere. Yeah.
I appreciate it.
This is the first bicycle traffic stop. Definitely.
Yeah. Well, I went ahead and got the bicycle after the expired
Okay.
license stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah.
Okay, boss. That's my bad.
Okay.
So it's giving you 3 options.
Okay.
So you have the option of, and I apologize.
That's all right. No, I'm not trying to give you a hard.
No, dude, I gotcha. When I make a mistake, I don't know too. So it's just, again, that's just a weird way so you have the red reflector from the rear, visible from all distances from 100 to 600 feet, and then or you can have, the lamp that emits the red light to the rear from a distance of 500 feet, or you can wear a device that emits a red or amber light that shall be visible up to 500 feet to the rear.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
that, again, my apologies. I think that, I don't know. I think it gets a little tricky when you talk about reflectors, because then it's not even necessarily talking about if they're, some of them get damaged or whatever. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
but it does say that they have to be visible. So if it's damaged and it's not visible, then that would be
right.
anything. So, nope, dude, my bad.
That's okay. No, I plan on getting one.
Okay.
It was my understanding it wasn't required, so it wasn't my top priority. You know what I mean?
I gotcha. Yeah. Like I said, and he talked to you. Just be cautious of the stops.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I didn't see either way. And then just that we're staying on our side of the road. All those things that apply as far as the traffic goes.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want no bodies picking up. So.
Yeah, I've seen so many people, like, they look at that stop sign on a bicycle like it's a suggestion. I'm like, you're gonna get one day somebody in that car, they may miss their stop sign too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you ain't winning that on a bicycle.
So just to be sure, though, hand signals are required as well, right? So like if I'm turning, am I required to do hand signals and stuff like that?
I believe, as far as I know, that's correct.
Okay.
I've never gone super deep into those. I think, especially like if you're coming to an uncontrolled, or excuse me, like an uncontrolled, or a only 2-way controlled intersection. So I think that's in your best bet. Or a 4-way, just so if you are trying to turn, just everybody knows which way everybody's going. I think even if it wasn't required, that's your best bet to make sure that you're safe.
Agreed.
Because after you get hit by that truck,
yeah, prudence, legality, and justice are all 3 different things. You know what I mean? So
once that happens, the who was on the right side is kind of a mute point.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you can't talk, walk, or do any of that stuff anymore. So.
Well, I appreciate your demeanor, Black.
Absolutely, man.
My name's.
I talked to you.
You did. That's right.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I try to work through everything. If I'm wrong, I'll let you know I'm wrong. It's happened before. There's tons and tons of traffic law. There's tons and tons of criminal law.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're humans. We misread things or we misinterpret stuff. That's why they still fight all that stuff out in the court.
Right.
On a weekly, yearly basis, because somebody interprets it or somebody sees it a different way. That's why you have 9 Supreme Court justices. Even hell, they can't even figure that stuff out half the time. So, what are our little regular people supposed to do?
Right.
All right, man. I won't hold you up anymore. Okay.
All right. Hey, you have a good night.
Yeah, you too, brother.
Thank you.
Oh,
I sure appreciate your
alrighty.
guidance.
Of course. Do you need anything else?
I don't
Okay.
believe
Well,
so.
you have a great rest of your night.
Thanks. You do the same.